Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. It is noon, so we will go ahead and get started. Thank you for attending this virtual lunch and learn. We've had such a good time with these this year, and I'm really excited about this one today. If you all have not met Dr. Dave, I met him a couple years ago now, and he has been such a great resource for me. He's great about sharing things, and I can ask him really quirky, odd questions, and he always knows the answer. He does a fantastic job with presentations of all different kinds. So I'm just really pleased that he's here with us today. He does own Dr. Dave Leadership Corp and offers all kinds of different things. So far beyond what you'll hear from him in just this 1 hour today. So I know you guys will enjoy hearing from him, getting to know Dr. Dave. Hopefully you'll have some opportunity afterward to connect with him and tap into his incredible knowledge and resources and all the networking that he does. So I am going to turn it right over to Dr. Dave because I want him to have plenty of time. We are recording this and we'll post it later if you want to rewatch it or share it with someone. If you have any questions while he is doing his presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat and we will get to those at the end, or we may have some time for live Q&A, but if not, feel free to drop them in there and we'll catch them. So Dr. Dave, thank you so much for being here with us. I'm going to turn it right over to you.
All righty. Thanks, Courtney. And yeah, we'll do our best to try to get some live Q&A. Few things before we get started. One, I had been accused a few times of knowing a lot of people, and it was one of those things around here that I don't remember where the accusation came from, and I still say it's a lie. You know, you have, but at least around here in the local area, who very active with, you know, the chambers of commerce, and apparently I found out today that it is National Chamber of Commerce Day. So yay, that's a good thing for all of us. So no, one of the things I was asked to do was to do a presentation on, well, what do you do for networking? And I was like, okay. So this is a kind of a one-off, as Courtney said. This isn't my standard, hey, this is my presentation that I go around and earn my living, but it's one of those things that I think with all of us that are in sales and all of us that are in the area where we need to connect with people, it's nice to be able to learn a little bit more about it. And so this is a fun presentation. This is what I really love to do. And I've had people that have been networking for years that still say, hey, I'd learned something I had no idea. So we're going to have a little bit of fun. And like I said, I got some cool stuff for you at the end. But let's go ahead and get into it, because this is one of the things. And like I said, I did this recently. Well, recently is not as recent as it was, but live at the Shenandoah University Business Symposium, and we've done it at a bunch of different places. So like I said, I think you'll get a lot out of it. You let me know. Like I said, put your questions in the chat and we'll try to do some Q&A. So this presentation, like I said, is the 9 nuggets to nail your networking. And like I said, my name is Dr. Dave Miles. We're Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Like I said, lots of cool stuff we do. We can talk about that later. But I've broke this into a couple parts. And one of the things that I really wanted to start out with is, yes, I could jump straight into the 9 nuggets. Oh, give me the details. Let me write down the details. And yes, for you high D, 3 bullet point kind of folks, my apologies. We're going to lead up to giving you the exact data that you want. But let's get into the mindset of networking first. And I'm going to ask you guys a question. You can put it in the chat, or you can actually just unmute and let me know on this one. But what do you see here? What does this picture involve? What do you see? What's going on here? So also, as a quick Zoom note, you can always hold down your space bar. That will temporarily unmute you, and you can shout something out or put it in the chat. Okay, good conversation. Clicks. Okay, I got that. What else? What do you see here? What stands out in this picture? Connections. Okay. What else? What else? Everybody sees this picture, has a little bit different viewpoint on what they're looking at. So when you look at this picture, what are you noticing? Food. Okay. All right. What else? Let's get a few more in the chat and let's see what you guys are picking up when it comes to what you're looking at in the picture. Intergenerational. All right. Very nice. I like that. Very cool, Melissa. Yep. Separate groups chatting. Okay. Corporate. All right. I get that. Would this more? Yes, it is a more professional setting. Let me ask you guys a question. Does this seem, because you talk about potential referral partners, a more professional setting, it being corporate, could you kind of maybe see this as being an chamber after hours? You know, because the way I look at it is like, okay, what do I see here? I see happy people. I see people networking. I see people talking. Like I said, we've got some high top tables. We've got people have food and, you know, there's some drink. And so the way I look at it, this is really one of the better pictures I saw about having a networking event. And that's one of the big things we do with Chambers is we have networking events. So you have all these happy people and they're happy and they're smiling and they're networking and hey, they're making connections. And you just kind of notice how they're standing. And yes, and we do this. If you think about most of the chamber after hours and different networking times that you go, when you have open networking, you do have separate groups that are speaking. So that's happy people, networking, making connections. How often, and ask yourself this, how often do you feel like this, the happy people in the pictures with the food and the networking and smiling and making connections? And how many times do you feel just a little more like this? So when you look at this cartoon here, do you guys feel like, and let me know in the chat, and you don't have to, it's completely up to you, but do you guys feel like you're more the three in the middle or maybe the two on the outside? Kind of on the, hanging on the wall, like, okay, yeah, my boss said I had to be here, but just not terribly comfortable on doing this. And then what ends up happening, you look at the three in the middle, and side note was hilarious. The three people in the middle look exactly like three people that I know to the T that are at the top of Virginia Regional Chamber. I did this presentation one time and I actually put their names below it. Hey, that's so-and-so and that's so-and-so and that's so-and-so. And they were like, you can't put people's names. I'm like, but it's the spitting image of them. So I took the names out for, to protect the guilty. But do you feel like you're the ones in the middle or the ones on the outside? Because honestly, if you're on the outside, you're thinking, oh my God, I'm so jealous. They just seem to be so naturals at it and they're so good and they're enjoying themselves and it just feels really awkward for you. You really wish somebody would, hey, can you talk to me? And you're not sure how to approach it. So you got to think about it. I like what you said. Yeah, you need to kind of proactively, and it does. It depends how familiar you are with the group. If it's a group of people that you're used to seeing all the time, the same old chamber members all the time, and we all kind of fall into those, traps on occasionally, myself included. You want to go continue to build relationships, but you also want to build new ones. And so it's much more comfortable for us to gravitate to the group of people that we already know than going to the folks that we don't. And how are we going to make new connections if we don't talk to people that we don't know? Just a thought. So one of the things about the mindset of networking is you have to have the right mindset for networking. And what I mean by that is networking is playing the long game. It just is. If you're going to commit yourself to going to chamber events, going to different BNIs, going to different places, networking by definition is playing the long game. And so we're there for three things. And I will take some notes on this. Like I said, there's got some really good information through this whole thing, but think about it, we're there for three things. We're there to meet people, we're there to add value, and we're there to start relationships. Those are the three things. Keep that as a mindset. I'm there to meet people, I'm there to add value, and I'm there to start relationships. That's pretty much it. And another way to think about it when you're thinking about mindset is think of it as a first date, okay? And if you guys end up leaving, we got 17, 18 people here now. If I say what I'm getting ready to say, and now we only have 2 or 3 people and you all just leave and go running for the hills, my apologies, Courtney. I didn't mean to run off and scare all you people, but I do have to break some bad news to everybody when it comes to networking. You're not going to land that 6-figure deal on your first networking event. My apologies. It's just not going to happen. Correct me if I'm wrong, Courtney, but most of the time you don't show up for the first time as a brand new chamber member and land a 6-figure deal the first time at an after hours. It ain't going to happen. So, just that's the bad news. That's the way life is. But some folks kind of think about it as that way. So if you can continue that mindset, we'll kind of go into what I call the mission of networking. So, what should your mission be when you're networking? Okay. What are your thoughts? Put in the chat. When you go to a networking event, when you're participating in a networking event, what should your quote mission be? Why are you there? What is making it relevant that I want to show up to this networking event? I have no beer in the fridge to drink. So, maybe that's a good one. They got great hors d'oeuvres, free food, whichever. But, all joking aside, what's kind of your mission? Okay. Make new connections, meet somebody new, getting to know others and what they're passionate about. Absolutely. Just a few ideas on what you guys think the mission ought to be. See how I can help others and they can help me. Absolutely. Building community partners. Perfect. So let's see. All right. So I look at the mission, or maybe the goals of networking should be threefold. And I kind of played a little bit on a TV analogy here just to make it a little memorable. So, but first, before I get into tell you what those threefold mission or your goals for networking should be, let me tell you what it shouldn't be. 2 things not to do. I always like telling people, hey, there's things to do, things not to do. I always thought about this going up in leadership. Hey, I've got 2 clipboards, right? And I want to write down, hey, as I was younger, if I want to be when I'm the boss, what am I going to do? What are the great things that I see in the leaders that I have seen and want to emulate? So I write that down. And then all of a sudden I've got this one, what not to do. Oh, these crappy bosses and horrible people, oh, this is stuff I'm never going to do when I get there. And one day I realized, hey, I had a little bit of stuff on my what to do list, but working for some bad bosses, I had a long list of what not to do. And it looked like the old green and white paper at tax time, that dot matrix, it just kept going, right? So I figured out if you just actively avoid the what not to do, sometimes you stumble onto the right thing to do. So we're going to tell you 2 things not to do first. So what your mission should not be when networking, what not to do, kind of part 1. So this is one of the things I would probably avoid. So you got a little Elmer Fudd guy here, be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. I'm hunting leads. So this is probably, you probably want to stay away from this. And you've seen these people. They're on the hunt, man. They are out for the big blood. They're like big game hunters talking to you. And all of a sudden they're kind of looking over the shoulder. They're not paying attention. Oh, somebody more important. They're gone, right? Peace out. Got to go. No, you're not hunting leads, right? So that's one thing. Just no. Second thing you don't want to do is this. You see some people that are, how's a nice way to put it? Could be a little bit over assertive on handing out business cards. Is that a nice way to put it? I've seen some folks that are like that. So you don't want to shove a card in someone's face before you even have a chance to say hello. You see these people walk around, here, take my card, take my card, take my card, take my card. I got a special name for them. Well, that name's not really appropriate for this presentation, but so I had to come up with another name for them. And so I call it a blackjack dealer. And I kind of warn everybody, don't be a blackjack dealer. Don't, it's just kind of like this. You see the realtor come in or see whatever, they're like, here, take a card, take a card, take a card. Everybody get a business card. Hurry up, get a business card. So, and you see people doing that. And you're like, stop. You're like, how does that make you feel when put it in the chat? I mean, when someone just is going up there and just shoving a business card in your face and then going on to the next person to keep handing out cards to everybody, do you really feel like you got a meaningful connection with them? And hey, man, I can't wait to sit down on a one-on-one at the coffee shop for this. Hey, man, I can't wait till we get to go to RX Coffee for this, to meet up with this guy because they just shoved a card in my face and ran screaming for the hills. Yeah, there's no connection there. So don't do that. That's 2 things not to do. Don't go out hunting leads like Elmer Fudd, and don't go out and be a blackjack dealer and shoving cards in people's faces. Probably not the best thing to do if you're actually trying to be effective. So let's see, what is the mission of networking? Simple, it's threefold. Like I said, I'm a sucker. I like, kind of associating things to make it easy for people to remember. People can remember NCIS. And yes, there's only 3 things, and that's 4. But I put on there your networking mission, if you kind of choose to accept. The mission of networking is 3 things. You're there to connect, you're there to inform, and you're there to serve. So if you remember, kind of the mission is to connect with people, to inform them what you do, and how can you serve them. And we'll talk a little bit about the service part in more detail, but you're there to connect, you're there to inform, you're there to serve. And honestly, everybody likes Mark Harmon and NCIS. So, I mean, can you really go wrong? It's just an easy way to make the connection and remember it. So how do we do that? Okay. You do it by creating consistency. One of the things, like I said, the bad news that I broke to you, the first part was you're not going to get the 6-figure deal on your first networking event. And since this is the long game, you're not going to make an impact, make those connections, be able to build the network that you want by showing up randomly 3-4 times a year. It's just normally not going to happen, right? So yes. So you're actually right. You started talking about, you had people say they had a goal of handing out X number of cards in an event and then they leave. Exactly. Now, I've got to play on that, and I appreciate that, Courtney, because I've got something that you can set goals when you're there. And hey, I want to accomplish X before I leave. But making sure you hand out 50 business cards is probably not the best goal to do that. But yeah, you do this by creating consistency, right? And so there's 3 things that you can do, 3 keys to kind of create that consistency all the time. One, obviously showing up and being there on that type of consistency. But one of the things is you want to be a connector. Any time that you can refer others when you hear about an opportunity that fits them well is great. And this puts you in a different frame of mind. How many times have you been possibly guilty of it? But it's easier to ask, how many times have you been the victim of it? When somebody, you talking to them, you know that the sound waves are going in their ears, but they're not listening to anything you have to say. Right. And so, and we're all guilty of the same thing. Sometimes we're just busy and we have things going on. And am I really listening to you to hear what you're doing and what you have going on and where I might be able to connect you with somebody else? Or am I just waiting for you to take a breath so I can tell you about my cool stuff? Right. And a lot of times we're unfortunately just waiting to hear a breath. Right. Oh my God, he's getting ready to breathe. This is my chance to get to pounce. So not quite what we want all the time, but be a connector, because if I hear about opportunities, and I love doing this, I hear about opportunities, hear about things that people are doing. Okay, I don't need that, whatever. But then when I'm listening to somebody else, oh, wait a minute, I just talked to Joe and Joe's got exactly what you're talking about. Let me send an email. Let me connect. Now, that I love doing, trying to make those connections. It has nothing to do with me. Call it karma, call it goodwill, call it whatever you want. It always comes back around. All right. When you're doing that kind of thing, because it also makes you the go-to person. You're a resource for others. Oh, I need such and such. I don't know about that, but let me go talk to Dave. Let me go talk to Courtney. Let me go talk to Susan. Let me go talk to Zach. Let me go talk to somebody, because they know, right? I don't know who, but they know everybody. So at least if they don't know who I need, they can connect me with somebody who can. And it's nice for you to be the go-to person, because you're being a connector. And one of the things is when you're trying to be a connector, it puts you in a different frame of mind. I'm listening because I really, truly care. I truly want to know, because if I add your info to my little data bank of, all right, cool, here's what everybody does, and here's what what they're about, I'm able to better connect them with other people when I find out that somebody else needs maybe what they have. And then third, if I'm there to inform people on what I do, but not sell them, just information. Hey, here's what I do. Here's how we do it. Clients we serve, such and such. It's a lot easier than somebody you feel like they're closing the sale right then. Like, look, I'm not going to buy any makeup from you at the meeting. Stop it. Just go, I'm not going to do it. So yeah, you want to make sure you're informing people on what you do, not selling. So with that, let's kind of get into the meat of it, the 9 nuggets here, the 9 points. And let's go into the first one. Now, a lot of caveats in this when I say dress well, right? First impressions do count, but you don't want to wear a 3-piece pinstripe suit with wingtips, right? Or dress at a formal event for the electricians conference, right? I mean, it's one of those things that you want to make sure that you dress the best you can according to the industry and according to the event. There are events that are much more casual. You show up dressed to the nines, ball gown, 3-piece suit, blah, 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 to a more casual event, you're going to look like you're going to look a little foolish. Let's just put it that way. So, and that's not what you want to do. But also you don't want to go to, a more formal, more dressy, more business attire event, basically with jeans and t-shirt, or worst, best case, jeans and a polo shirt. You're like, hey, I'm here. And everyone's like, okay, well, you're the only one in jeans and a polo shirt and everybody else has a jacket and tie on. You want to make sure to dress the best you can according to the industry, according to the event. Make it appropriate. That is huge. So the second one is you want to bring business cards. Every once in a while, we're all human. We walk out the door without them, but to the greatest extent possible, bring business cards. If you don't, there's a cool trick that I can tell you about on LinkedIn that is actually pretty neat. But when you talk about business cards, there's a couple tips, tricks, hacks, whatever you want to call them. Get the best cards you can. I know it's going to be difficult to see, but one of the things I like about business cards is that I try to add a few of these onto mine. For example, if you can get something that's a thick stock paper, that stands out. Put a picture on it. More than just networking events. Let's say you go to a conference, you go to a convention. How many times have you had a stack of cards in your pocket. You just got this big stack of business cards right here, right? And I'm like, okay, this is so-and-so, this is this person, this is that person. And do you honestly remember half the people after a week conference? Like, oh crap, what did I talk to so-and-so about? I don't know. But if you have a picture on there, oh, I remember. Yes, we were in the hallway, we talked about so-and-so. So that makes it stand out. You hand somebody a card that's just kind of thin, basically the equivalent of 20-pound copy paper, it's not going to do much. But if you hand somebody something that's thick, I had a realtor hand me a card the other day, and I thought it was made out of paneling or plywood or something. I mean, this thing was thick. I mean, the rest of the card wasn't that impressive, but just the feel of it stood out. If you could put some kind of spot gloss on it, and like the high end, I've actually seen somebody pay several bucks a piece, but give a plastic business card or a metal business card. I've got an example because people like metal business cards. So I snagged a picture and put one down there just so people could see it. But let me ask you a question. If somebody gave you something that looked like that, how apt would you be to toss it in the trash, throw it away, or just stick it in a pile with the rest of your business cards? That's pretty unique. That's one of those things. And now, granted, you're not going to be a blackjack dealer with a $2.50 per card business card that's like that. You're not going to hand them out everywhere. You're going to hand them out where there's some meaningful connections. Now, it's funny because a lot of folks, and I completely sympathize with this. They're like, I work for the hospital, I work for the bank, I work for this institution. I don't have a choice. I can't change the formatting or anything about the card. So I'm going to pick on. So here's from United Brokers. Here's a card I picked up at one of the Greater Augusta ones, and it's from basically United Bank, right? So there's nothing that this person can do to put their picture, make it creative or whatever. But you know what? You can ask, can I basically, if I'm in a business development position, and that's something that is very important, and I want to make a little bit more of an impact, can I just pay to have some cards done myself? Same format, same everything. I go to the printer and say, hey, put these on as thick a stock as you can. No changes. There's no change to format, no change to anything. But even that is just something you can do. When you hand it to somebody, it makes a tremendous, tremendous impact. Like I said, I know it's going to be difficult to see, but this is the realtor that gave me their card. And I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up, but the difference between a normal card and their card, let me put it this way. That's how thick their card is. I mean, it was impressive. So let's go to the third one. If you can go to networking events, one of the things I can say is show up early, stay late. Totally guilty of failing on this one myself, but if you're there a little bit early, a lot of times you get a chance to talk to the people that are organizing it, the people that are putting it together. If there's a speaker, a lot of times they'll already be there. You'll get to make some connections and have some conversations that you don't always get to have. Also, in the middle of the networking event, Courtney gets everybody's attention. She, have the announcements, we have the door prizes, we have all this stuff. A lot of times, same thing, you can't always help it. You have other plans and things you have to do. But a lot of folks, the minute the door prizes are gone, all right, it's got to go. Boom, and they're out the door. But did you really get a chance to meet and talk to a lot of the people that were there? It's staying late, showing up early. Those things, if you do it, they really do yield the best results. So that's the third point. Fourth point is being able to approach others and to be approachable. This is where you can set a goal, stretch yourself. I always think about if I'm going to a new event that I don't know a lot of folks, or even if I do, and I'm like, okay, I'm hoping there's going to be some new people there. Try to make an approach goal when you get there. So instead of what Courtney was saying, hey, I'm going to hand out 50 cards. Well, there's 47 people there and you're going to hand out 50 cards and you're just going around shoving a card in people's face. Not really. Maybe you say, I want to meet 3 people at this event and approach them. Say hi, maybe get a business card, strike up a conversation. Maybe you're really apprehensive about networking. Cool, start out small. I'm going to meet one new person. That's it. I'm going to meet one new person. I'm good. And just a hint, I personally recommend, maybe grab a cup of coffee, grab some water, grab a drink or whatever. But if you get there and you go straight for the food, and I've seen people do this all the time, I go straight for the food, get something to drink. Now all of a sudden, I'm going to meet 3 people, but oh my God, I got this great big plate of food. I got this water. So when you walk up to somebody brand new and you've got a plate in one hand and you've got your cup in the other hand, how are you going to shake their hand? And it's all kinds of awkward and kind of hold the drink over here and kind of, kind of set it down over there. If you've got an approach goal, all right, I want to meet 3 new people. Maybe I'll meet 5, but at least I want to meet 3 new people. Grab something to drink, fine, but leave a hand open that you can, shake somebody's hand and stuff like that. It just makes it a lot less awkward if you can leave a free hand to be able to do a handshake. And so I know this is, rocket science here. This is, God forbid, this is, next level stuff, but smile. If you look like you were there and you're weaned on a pickle and you're just like, I don't even want to be here. You honestly think somebody's going to come over and want to talk to you? Not really. So God forbid, put a smile on your face. Hey, cool, happy to be here. Hey, how's it going? Wave to folks, stuff like that. Have an open stance. And I'll show you what that means on the next slide. And then if you're there in a group of 2 to 3 people, just think about that group, the cartoon initially. If you're part of the 3 people and you see somebody standing over there and they're kind of there by themselves, wave other people over there. If they're standing alone, wave them over there to join you. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. Why not? I mean, if you're comfortable and if you can invite them over, that's a whole lot more comfortable for them to have an invite to come say hi than it is to, hey, let me just kind of butt in and see what's going on. But let's talk about open stances. Okay. This is something that when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, never thought about that. So other thing, just side note, always a good book. I always recommend just go back, read this book. You want to know how to approach others and be approachable. All kinds of goodness in here that we have no time to get into, but always recommend the book. Or you do a lot of driving, download it on Audible. Always one every so often, a couple times a year, just reread it, re-listen to it. Always got some good stuff. So let's talk about stances. What do I mean by open stance versus closed stance? Okay, it does make a difference. So if I'm looking at something like this, I got 2 people that are standing there talking to each other, and this is natural. This is what we kind of do. If I'm talking to you and you're talking to me, we're facing each other, and we're kind of locked in conversation. It's just natural for our body language to be facing each other. Same thing. If you got 3 people here, it's kind of like, circling the wagons, right? We're kind of in our little group and we're talking to each other because that's just the natural thing to do. But consider more of I would say a closed stance. So this would be like a closed 2 or closed 3, you would call it, versus like a more open stance. It's not as natural as the closed stance, but if you're thinking about it in the frame of networking, if you've got 3 people, 4 people, whatever, just take one step back. Left foot, right foot, doesn't matter. Just one step back, it opens up that stance. And if you were trying to approach a group and you wanted to say hi to somebody specifically in that group, which of the groups would you feel more comfortable approaching and interrupting? The groups on the left or the groups on the right? And think about this when you're at a networking event. Yes, it's about you, but it's also about others, and you're trying to serve others as well. If you open that stance up for the open 2 or open 3 or whatever, and people can come over, and it makes them feel much more comfortable and drawn over there to join the conversation versus interrupt the conversation. Because a lot of people don't want, well, let me put it this way. The ones that are more than happy to barge in that closed 3 and interrupt are probably not the people you really want to connect with anyway. So that's a whole topic for a different discussion. But yeah, it's more welcoming. It draws people in. It makes it easier to wave somebody over. So just consider that. Just a step back, open up the stance just a little bit, whether it's 2 people, 3 people, even 4, to allow that natural, organic kind of opening for people to get drawn into. So I will say this, I had to throw this in after COVID. If there's something that you're not down with the traditional handshake, right? You like the fist bump, you like the elbow, but whatever. There's different strokes for different folks. No judgment here. I don't care. I will throw on one little bit of advice that was kind of important. Please be the first to initiate. If you're not down with the traditional handshake, you be the one to initiate. They go over there to to shake their hand, initiate, put the fist bump out, put the elbow out, whatever. But be careful. There's a danger to this. You can put an eye out with that thing, right? With that elbow. So please be careful. Like, let people know ahead of time, put it kind of out there, whatever. I had somebody, I went to shake their hand and they wanted to do the elbow bump. They swung that thing around. I had to duck, clip me in the eye. I came this close to having a black eye at a networking event. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, it like grazed the skin. I'm like, No, 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 no. We will be putting a slide in. You got to warn somebody, man. You put an aisle with that thing. Come on. So if you don't want to do the traditional handshake, we can't read your mind. We don't have the little cool tags like at the conferences that had the red, yellow, green, right? Hey, I'm cool with the handshake. Hey, I'm cool to get around. And red, I probably shouldn't have even come to this conference in the first place. Do we have a Zoom option, right? Stay away from me. So we don't have those at most of the events. So be proactive on that one if the handshake's not your jam. All right. So the other thing, be present, right? Be present with the person that you are. Number 5. Don't constantly have those wandering eyes. It's kind of like what I was talking about, the hunting leads, right? You just don't want to be like a hunter on a mission that you just jump to somebody that's more important. I get it if you're looking for somebody. If you say, hey, as we're talking, hey, I'm waiting for so-and-so. If he happens to come in or she happens to come in, my apologies in advance. I'm trying to catch up with this person or that person. Or if you do need to, excuse yourself. Hey, pardon me 1 second. I'll be right back. I need to catch up with so-and-so. I need to tell them something real quick. Great. But don't be that constant wandering eyes. And it happens a lot. And I said, most of these totally guilty of my own right as well. But one of the things that I will, like I said, this is more of advanced. If there's no connection and the conversation keeps going on forever, that's a different problem. We've all got stuck. Every chamber has their person, right? Sometimes 2, but they've got that guy or that gal that you're like, oh God, it's so-and-so. Don't get stuck. Don't get caught by so-and-so because you will not get to meet anybody else. You're not get to talk to anybody. They're just going to snag you in the corner and you're done. So I throw this out for 2 things. You can introduce that person to somebody else. And if it's really one of those, okay, I'm stuck in a corner. I'm never going to get out of here. They're going to keep talking to me about their whatever that I'm just totally not interested in. Advanced tip, have a running buddy, right? Just something, just some kind of signal. Look like you're telling them to steal third base, right? Anything, it doesn't matter, right? Just some kind of visual signal, like help, I'm pinned down. Can you help me? Like this guy's, and have them come over. Oh, hey, how you doing, Bob, Joe, Sue, whatever. Hey, have you met so and so? Let me introduce you to so and so. Somebody that can kind of like distract their attention somewhere else, so you don't get pinned down the entire time. Just something nice to have a running buddy. Because, there seems to be one in every crowd. All right, next one is meet the host. Meet the host of the event. If there's a speaker, meet them as well. Most of the time, and I know this is a far stretch to consider this, but, occasionally people like Courtney know people, God forbid, right? You run the chamber, you got hundreds of members, you probably know a couple folks, right? So it doesn't matter if it's a chamber event, any other kind of event you go to, if you can get there early, and this is another reason to get there early and stay a little bit late, it's a little bit easier to have the conversation with somebody before the show starts, right? And maybe you get there 15, 20, 30 minutes early and, hey, is there anything I can help you with, right? And so, hey, they appreciate the help, and guess what? You get a chance to a little bit of a conversation while you're helping them do something, and you don't have all the people that are there. It makes it a little bit easier to have a conversation with them. But most of the time, the host of the event is generally a connector. You want to know connectors. Same thing to be said about the speaker, especially if it's a local speaker. Can you come up there? Can you shake their hand? Can you, find out a little bit more about them? Be a little bit aware that sometimes if you have a whole lot of people kind of bum rushing the stage afterwards and everyone wants to talk, maybe it's hey, here's my card. Great job. Let's connect later. Just something that you can kind of make that connection. But anytime you have the chance, meet the host of the event. If you don't know them already, if there's a speaker, try to meet them as well. So I know this sounds strange, but ask questions. You're not just word vomiting your 30-second commercial and bullet points and all of your value propositions on everybody else. Ask some questions, and I will throw a warning. You want to find common ground. This is the reason you ask questions. You want to find common ground, but don't be that person. I said, don't be the one-upper. And I'm sure you've seen it before. I've seen it too, right? Joe went to Disney, right? Great. I'm glad Joe went to Disney. But I use that. Oh, cool. Well, tell me a little bit more about that. And why did, and use it to get them talking about themselves and get them talking a little bit more about them and their business and what they do. Don't use it to one-up them. Oh, you went to Disney for a week with your kids? Oh, that's awesome. We rented out the whole Disney Island. Wow. And we went there for 3 weeks and it was amazing. And we had this. I was like, what? Yeah. Don't ask questions and don't ever be the one-upper. And you've seen those folks before. Oh, mine was so much bigger, so much better. Oh, you bought a new car? Oh, I got a new Lamborghini. Oh, stop it. What? It doesn't something. You've always got that one person that has to one up everybody else. Don't be that person. It's really off-putting, but definitely ask questions to find common ground. Use it to ask better questions. And one of the things I laugh about, you could talk to somebody for 20 minutes and they talk about themselves for 18 out of those 20. And then when you leave, oh my God, that was the best conversation I've had in ages. They're such a great conversationalist. Oh, they were so pleasant to talk to. All you did is ask like 2 or 3 questions and just get them talking about themselves. You'd be surprised how well that comes across. So if you're looking for, okay, well, what questions do I ask? I don't know. And here's a couple just to throw out there that you can look at. One, what got you into your industry? That's a nice question. What are the networking events do you attend? That one can be a secret gold mine sometimes because you might be new to an area. Okay, I'm new. What do I do? Okay, I join the chamber, join some different organizations, trying to get out there. But what other events do you attend? Oh, well, there's this great XYZ organization. You might have never heard about it. Oh, cool. Well, I ask. Now I found out. That's another where I can go out and do some networking. If there's a speaker, you might ask, hey, what do you come here to learn? Or if it's after the speaker, what was the biggest takeaway you got? Just something about the topic of the speaker, right? This is a small business type of thing. Okay, well, what's your business? Just find out what they came to learn. And then the fourth one is just ask them, is there anything I can help you with? Is there anybody I can introduce you to? Anything that will be helpful? And really be asked with genuine interest. If it's kind of like, was there anything you need help with? No? Okay, cool, thanks. You don't want to seem inauthentic. You don't want to seem not genuine when you ask that. You're better off not asking than being that. So that's number 7. So at the end of this, when we'll get to 8 and 9, you had a great event, whether it was a networking event, whether it was a conference, that there was networking, whichever. Great event. Now what? Couple of things. Number 8, to the greatest ability possible, have you a card sorting system. I have the stack of cards I came back from a conference with. What am I going to do with them, right? 3 things. I don't remember them. I don't know who they are. I don't remember why they're there. No meaningful connection. Toss it, right? Whether it's toss it in the trash, toss it in the basket, the random basket of business cards that you come back to later and just pilfer through. Either way, toss it. 500 cards are overwhelming. You're better off, especially after like a week-long conference, having 50 meaningful connections or even 5 meaningful connections than 50 cards at a chamber event that you have no idea who 45 of them are. You just don't. So, I don't remember. No connection. I don't remember who this is. Boom, toss it. Next one. Okay, we had a great conversation. Need to catch up, need to follow up. Great. Okay, cool. I put this here. Highest priority of all. Number one. You promise to do something for them. Hey, I'll send you this article. I'll shoot you a copy of this book, or I'll send you a PDF, or I'll send you a link about such and such. Absolutely high priority. Do what you promise. Take that one is the ones that you want to stick over here. And I'm going to email them when I get home, or I'm going to email them when first thing in the morning when I get to the office. If you promise somebody that you were going to send them something, do something like that. Hey, I'm going to introduce you to so-and-so. Do whatever you promise right away. Nothing can shoot yourself in the foot worse than promising you were going to do something for somebody and then not doing that. So those are the 3 ways that you can kind of sort your cards. Then once you sort them, especially for the B and C groups, right? You've already taken care of the high priority stuff you're going to send to them. You've already taken the action. You've done what you said you're going to do for the C group. So basically, now they kind of go back into that B group. So what are you going to do with the cards now that you have them sorted out? So the best thing that you can do with the cards, if the computer decides to actually advance, yes, follow up. And what was that other one? Yes, follow up. Yes. So you went there. We talked about starting to build relationships, and you went to the event basically to start the relationship. But this is where the real work begins. I was lucky enough down in Florida to be able to, I was at a conference, and Dr. Ivan Meisner, he's the gentleman who started BNI, world's largest business networking group. He was giving a presentation, and he was talking about this 24/7/30 concept. And I'm like, numbers. What do you keep talking about 24/7/30? So what he talked about was within 24 hours of the event, send them an email, right? So you've got the card. Hey, it's great talking to you yesterday at the chamber after hours, blah, 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 blah. I look forward to catching up with you soon, whatever. Some kind of email. The 7 is, so within 7 days, typically this would be LinkedIn, but depending on the industry, it may be Facebook, reach out and connect with them on social media. Okay, so that give you about a week for that. Within 24 hours, follow up by email. 7 days later, follow up with them, and connect with them on social media, LinkedIn. And within 30 days, if you really have a connection and you followed up with them by email that 24 hours, try to set a one-on-one within 30 days, or at least get one on the books, right? Let's go to some lunch, breakfast, cup of coffee, grab a beer after work, whatever floats your guys' boat. But within 30 days, try to set that one-on-one if there was a connection, because I found out there's really nothing more powerful than you could be in a lead share group. You can go to networking events. You can meet these people kind of, in a 5-minute conversation, but nothing really starts to build the depth of a relationship like sitting down for an hour over a cup of coffee or over lunch or whatever and doing a one-on-one. So I could highly recommend, if you really want to start building your network and building it deep and really getting some effective use out of that, is, be very intentional about setting one-on-ones. A lot of like BNI and a lot of networking groups, that's part of the gig with being there is, hey, did you set your one-on-ones this week? Did you meet with them? Think about it in a bigger context, even if you're not in a structured lead share group, just because that really helps build the connection. And if you learn a lot about them, that also helps you be the connector, that helps you be the go-to person, because now you know a lot more about a lot more people in your sphere that you can help refer folks to. So that's what the 24/7/30 is. And so the last part of this is we're going to wrap up, and then I'll be able to take some questions from you guys. Just remember this. There's not one of those single 9 nuggets that included sell them now, right? So we're not shoving a card in their face. We're not shoving a contract in their face. We're not trying to do business right then. We're just trying to inform. We're trying to educate. We're trying to build connections. So like I said, none of them said sell me now, right? So no matter what business you're in, just remember this. When we're networking, when we're meeting people, we're making connections, we're all in the people business, right? So just make sure that when you're in the networking sphere, be in it to play the long game and be a connector. Those are the 2 most important things that I can leave you guys with. Networking is the long game, and you want to be the connector. You want to be that go-to person and make those connections and help folks out, even when it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you. It always, always, always comes back around. So with that, that is the 9 nuggets to nail your networking. And I'd be more than happy to take any questions you guys have, and also have whatever you think would be good. Courtney, I do have some goodies for you guys. One of the things that I do, and I'll go ahead and talk about now, and then I'll come off of the screen share here. But one thing I do think is important, and this goes a little bit more towards the business I have, is if you can identify, if you know how you communicate with people, your communication style, and you can identify the communication style, behavior style of others, being able to adapt to that is really important. And I got something here that's just real free resource. It's simple, easy, only takes a couple minutes, but it's just a free communication style assessment that we like to give out. And it tells you about your primary communication style. Doesn't go too terribly deep, just tells you what it is and a little bit about it. One of the big things I like about it is it tells you about how to communicate and not to communicate with other styles. And so if I know that if I'm the 3 bullet point kind of guy, man, just tell me what you're going to tell me what you told me. I don't need the detail. Just give you the executive summary and get out. If I'm going around there kind of vomiting my 3 bullet points on everybody else in the room when I'm networking, I'm going to turn off about 3/4 of the people that are there, right? How about, open up the conversation, maybe try to adapt my communication style to others, makes a big difference. So if I can pick up some little clues on, oh, okay, well, these different styles are about like this, boom, I can do that. So it tells you how to communicate, not communicate with other styles. And it gives you some, if you do work remote at any way, shape, or form, it gives you some customized working tips on doing that. So anyway, that's something that I want to, it's just a little awareness tool that I think is helpful as you know a little bit more about yourself and then about others, how to communicate with them. It'll help you when you're in those types of situations. And so she just put something in the link and put something for the next after hours. And so with that, I will go ahead and turn that back over to you, Courtney.
Awesome. That was great. And it was kind of funny to watch people's faces as you were talking about different examples because we were all thinking of situations we've been in or people we've talked to. So does anybody have any questions, comments, anything you want to share? Feel free to unmute yourself, Mary Louise.
So you mentioned about business cards. So I have two questions in that regard. One, you said you had a something that you would suggest if you don't have a business card. And then the other
yes.
question is where people are now using the QR codes where it's like, just scan my code instead of an actual physical business card. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that also.
Great question. And I was reaching over to find mine as an example. Of course, they're just right out of reach, but I'll give you a couple of examples about the QR code and some other things about the card. One, if you find yourself without business cards, and I'll just show you on the phone. If everybody's got their phone, if you have the LinkedIn app on your phone, if you don't, it's not a big deal. I'll still show you how to do this. And normally I would have a couple of slides to go with it, but I can show you exactly how to do it. I remember doing this for a young professionals group, and there was 30 some people that were there, and I was stupid and forgot to tell everybody, hey, it probably would be good, since we're doing a speed networking thing afterwards, to bring at least 30 cards. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't tell people to bring cards. What do? So me being the guy who doesn't qualify for the young professionals group, let's just leave it at that. Nice way to put it. I was like, how can I leverage technology? So if you go to your LinkedIn app, so I open up LinkedIn. It's going to be a little hard to see, but I open up LinkedIn app, and then right at the very top, there's a bar that says search. So I just tap on the bar that says search. Just don't do anything but tap on it. But as soon as I tap on it, if I can get a little bit close, it heads all the way to the right. It's got these 4 little blocks, these 4 little bars, right? So I see the 4 little bars. Oh, that's interesting. That showed up. So I click the little box of the 4 little bars, and 2 things pop up. This kind of goes to your question as well. I got a QR code that pops up, and I've got 2 tabs. One has my QR code, and the other one, I can scan somebody else's QR code. That's better to scan it in the app, right? So basically, we told Group A to have the code out, Group B to have the scan out. And so basically, if I want to, I can turn around and I can have somebody scan that. The nice part about that is this. If they do that, there's kind of a timed thing. Like, okay, here's the last couple of people that you connected with on LinkedIn, right? So I know, oh, that was at the event. I can respond back to them. One, I can connect right then, and invite to connect on social media. The problem I've seen with a few of the QR codes, some of them are great. Some of them, how do I put it? Suck. This is all I can say. And the reason I say they suck is this. I went to a networking event last month. I was doing this presentation. It was great. And this lady said, oh, here's my QR code. Here's my QR code. Cool. Okay. Bring out my phone. I scan her QR code. It put her contact information directly into my list of contacts. Unlike LinkedIn, I don't have here's the last 4 contacts you've added to your contact list. So I've got hundreds of people on my phone on my contact list, and some random lady that is just there. So I didn't even remember her name afterwards, right? Because there was just so much going on. I didn't have a physical business card to go back and say, who was that again? So I could kind of put a mental note, and write down a little note. Hey, call Susan afterwards, connect with Susan. So this lady just comes over, I scan her QR code, she goes, hauls butt out of there, right? So I've got this random person now who's in my contact list. I still don't know who she is. So some way I'm going to go through my contact list and like, who in the heck is that person? So I guess it said all, I didn't go to law school, but I know a lot of friends of mine that are lawyers, and they went to 3 years of school to learn how to say it depends. And so I guess it depends on the type of QR code and how it works, and all of them go somewhere else. But I would highly recommend staying away from the ones that are like the one that lady used, where it just literally adds your contact info to their phone. Well, they have my contact info. Okay. So what is the system that's behind that QR code, I guess? And then it never hurts. Say you have a card. I've seen people that have a card and they have a QR code on the back of the card. Okay, if you want more info, you want my website, you want whatever, boom. Okay, that's cool. But at least you still have a card. Like I was saying, you've got guy here, banker, and then this realtor. This thing is, I'd have to, like score it to try to break it because, and this one is just the normal, it bends, but it's just the feel to it, like I said, mine, I put a picture on there. So, half is the picture. So, and then half of it's the information. It does have a little spot gloss that's on the actual company logo. It's not the thickest of paper like this is, but I mean, it's as thick as I could get and still get the spot gloss put on it. So just lots of those little touches makes it a little bit more memorable and less likely for people to throw it away or realize, who is that person again? I don't remember. That name face association. Some people are good at it and God bless them, but that ain't me. Any hints and tips that I can get to remember how to remember somebody, and like I said, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I see that face, I'm like, yes, I remember talking to so and so. That's awesome. So hopefully that helped answer that, Mary.
Now we're all going to go and order business cards with their faces on them.
I
Hey,
love that LinkedIn trick too. That's great.
Mhm.
I did not know that.
yes, for our local SHRM chapter, we started doing that. We had a bunch of people, I can't do the networking. I don't have a business card. I'll fix your little red wagon next month. Watch this. And so I put 2 slides on there on exactly to walk them through how to do this. I'm like, you don't have an excuse. Get up, get out of your chair, go meet people, go forth and meet people, right? So I took that excuse away. If I'd have thought about it, I would have added those 2 slides over here and I could have, but yeah, I could just easily show you. It's a neat trick, and it's something where we all get caught sometimes with either, oh, these are the cards that are at the bottom of the pile and they're kind of in bad shape, or I forgot them. I ran out and forgot my business cards. That's a great way to do it. Plus, if you show that to somebody else, then all of a sudden you're the hero because like, oh my God, I had no idea, and teach them something new. Yeah. Never a bad thing either.
That was worth the price of admission just for that tip.
Any other questions?
Anybody else?
No questions at all?
Okay. Well, Dr. Dave, thank you. That was fantastic. We will be posting this recording. We do post all of our webinar recordings on our website, augustava.com, and look under resources. You'll see webinar recordings there. We have a YouTube page that we list all those on. Thank you guys so much for being here today. We hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to share the link with a friend if you feel like you have somebody that needs some networking help in their life. And we hope to see you guys at one of our upcoming events. We do have Business After Hours on Thursday at Paul Obaugh 4. They do a really great job with their October Business After Hours. Costumes are encouraged, but not required, but there is a prize for the best costume. So feel free to get creative. And lots of other things coming up. So be sure you're checking out the calendar, receiving our weekly emails that kind of show what's going on. And if we can help, we are always here for you. So again, Dr. Dave, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here and have a great day.
Oh, thank you guys too. And like I said, that assessment link that put in the chat and Courtney will send out, share that with your team at work too. That's always a nice one to do a little show and tell with your team there at work too to do that. So feel free to use that, but also use it at where you work and stuff like that too. So that's a nice resource. But anyway, thank you again, Courtney, and glad to be able to talk to you guys today.
Thank you all. Have a great day.